Jude. Thank you for having me here today. It's great to see all of the things that happens like behind the scenes, right? I don't usually get to see all of the support that you guys give. But what I do get to see, and what I'm going to tell you, is what happens with that support that you give. So I'm here tonight. I'm going to tell you a little story, right? I like to tell stories. I'm going to kind of shape it like a Shakespeare story. So it's got some grief, it's got loss, but it also has those happy moments and triumphs, really, right? No matter how small they may be. But it wouldn't be a story of true Shakespeare fashion if I didn't give you a little taste of what's to come, right? So this might sound a little cheesy, but everybody close your eyes. Do it, trust me. So picture this. You're walking into the doors, grand doors, maybe they're small doors, of a new place that you know you're gonna call home, or you're gonna be there for a long time. Maybe it's a college dorm room. Maybe it's a new apartment you're gonna live in, or a house. Or maybe, it's just that endless Zoom call on a Friday night, right? All right, now open your eyes and think about this, of what you just saw. Whenever you first saw this place, did you think about what your life was going to be like there, right? What did you think about? You might be a little sad that you're away from home. You might be excited to start a new chapter of your life with new people. You might see yourself on a couch or standing up, having conversations, laughing with new friends, or maybe, just sitting alone, watching TV, eating Cheez-Its all day, right? Now, this is kind of the feeling that I had walking into the doors of St. Jude back in November of 2021. Back here in Arizona, I lived the 11-year-old's life. I was living the dream, I played football, I played basketball, I played soccer, I played, any sport you can imagine. Actually, right before I left for St. Jude, I had a basketball game. Right before I went to the airport, I drove straight from the game right to the airport. So that's how active I was. I was in Boy Scouts, climbing the ladder to Eagle rank. I was actually just elected student government president, and I thought, my life was great. But all great things have to come to an end. But not this great thing, because whenever my parents sat me down and they told me that I had stage 3 rhabdomyosarcoma and in my nasal sinus cavity, they made sure that they would reassure me that they would find the best care possible. Now, they're the best parents that I could ask for, obviously. They're sitting right over there. Give them a round of applause, will you? So after some extensive research and, looking up everything on Google late nights, what they tell me that they did, that's how I ended up into my place I knew I would spend a really long time. I started my treatment at St. Jude within the week of arriving there. I spent the next 10 months there in Memphis, Tennessee, and I gotta say, there were some really rough days, There were some really bad times when I just broke down crying, right? Because first of all, for me, I lost my hair, and I didn't like that. Sorry. but I was away from my family. I was away from my friends. The only family that I had in Memphis was my mom, right? And it was really sad. However, I just also want to point out that St. Jude knows the value of family and knows the value of connection. So they actually flew a few of my friends and my family out to St. Jude to visit us. And they got to see what I was experiencing and spending my time for. And towards the end, whenever I was feeling better, we also got a chance to get a little taste from home, come back here, visit with my school, and see what my friends were up to. Now, there are actually a lot of things I could say about my experience at St. Jude, but I'm not going to talk about the incredible care they give or, the reassurance they make sure that every family has. No. I'm going to talk about the time that I broke my foot. So I walked into the appointment room on one of my weekly appointments, right? You walk into the clinic, and I had a slight limp. So my doctor saw me and he was like, what's with the limp? And, me, I have a high pain tolerance, so I was basically just, it's probably nothing, it just hurts a little bit. But the doctors there at St. Jude know what a little bit of hurt can actually mean. So what happened was, he actually sent us right over to the x-ray. He put me in a wheelchair, they sent us right over to the x-ray, which is, by the way, in the same building. It's crazy. And I had my foot x-rayed, right? So I went back to the clinic, and they talked to me, told us the results, and say, hey, you have a slight fracture in your left foot. So I guess I kind of lied to you there. I didn't break my foot. But you have a slight fracture. So after a few more, moments of discussing some more stuff for the week, what they sent us to do now was we went to physical therapy department, which is in the same building. It's crazy. So we went to that. I got a boot fitted, and within, how long do you think that took? 5 hours? 4? No, actually, at St. Jude, all of that happened in the span of 1 hour. That's crazy. Who would have thought that would have happened in 1 hour? Nobody. That doesn't happen anywhere else. So those kinds of stories, that happens all around St. Jude. It can be applied to every single aspect. I like to describe it as they're proactive in the way that they care. They're not reactive, right? So where other places might say, let's just wait a little bit. Let's just see if it gets worse, right? No, St. Jude doesn't do that. You see, with the broken foot or the fractured foot that I had, they didn't wait. They gave me a boot, and that actually could have gotten a lot worse with the type of treatment that I was getting, because my bones were really brittle. And this experience would not happen if it didn't have the support of you guys and all the people around the world. So all is to say, I'm now a tad bit over 3 years out of treatment, and Thank you. And I'm doing quite well. So a little bit about me right now is I'm 16 years old and I'm about to get my driver's license. So, watch out. Don't drive any fancy cars around me. But I'm also a runner. So might not be driving a lot. I do cross country, I do track and field. And I actually accomplished the rank of Eagle Scout back in 2023. So thank you. There was times at St. Jude when I'm like, I don't want to do that. But, I did a few merit badges and I eventually got there, right? But, after my treatment ended, I continued to, stay active in my school. I'm in DECA, if anybody knows what that is. It's basically a business club with marketing, finance, all the businessy type things. So if you know what that is, love to talk about it. I have an international conference here in a few weeks in Atlanta that I'm going to, so it should be fun. But I'm going back to St. Jude every 3 to 4 months for scans and such. I still have, some side effects, right? Not everything goes away. I'm still dealing with stuff up in my nose and up in my ear. I actually have a hearing aid now because I kind of damaged my hearing. But, that's my Shakespeare story for y'all tonight. I'm so very grateful for all the support that you guys give St. Jude, because I know and my family knows firsthand what kind of work that they do